Welcome back to Trapani's Choice, episode number 10. My fourth part of my six-part series, Most Influential Comedians. Your host, Nick Trapani. And tonight I'm going to be looking at Anthony Jeselnik, a very funny comedian, a very, very, very offensive comedian. Now, other comedians that I've looked at in this series have been offensive at times, usually with a message behind it. Well, Anthony Jeselnik is offensive for the sake of being offensive. And I love that. Because sometimes, it's okay to just laugh at horrible, horrible things. Now, Anthony was on the roast of Donald Trump, and that was really his big break into the fame of where he is now, where he was a writer in the past, and there were other... Yeah, you can have some drink, mate. There were other things that he was working on. He'd been a stand-up comedian for about 20... Well, he's been for 20 years now. But at the time, it might have been about 15 years or so. And this was really the break into comedy for him. And he knew that it was all on the line. And before it, he said that he'd written his jokes and everything, and he thought they weren't that offensive or, because it was a roast, mind you. And, the best part about these roasts were that you're giving each other shit. And that's what I love about comedy, is being able to do that. And I've spoken about that on other parts of my podcast. Yes, you can have more, mate.
Daddy?
Yeah?
When we finish podcast, I want to go inside. When we finish podcast,
Yep.
then give him back inside me. Okay?
Okay, yep. All right, I'll see you when I come inside, okay? When I'm finished podcasting, yeah? And I'm going to play a little part of the clip, and you can click the link at the bottom to watch his whole section of the roast down the bottom. So I'm going to play that, and I'm going to come back and we'll discuss a little bit more.
Thank you. Oh, Seth MacFarlane, everybody. At first I thought Seth was just famous for the Family Guy, but then I did some research, and he's actually not famous at all. They say you only roast the ones you love. So this is gonna be short. It's been a rough year for comedy. Not only did the world lose Greg Giraldo, but even worse, it kept Jeff Ross.
Wow, that's harsh. Wow.
Ross, you've been doing this for a long time, man. I mean, Jeff Ross has been roasting people since Whitney Cummings was nothing but a glint in the eye of the man who raped her mother. Whitney Cummings is one of the hottest acts in show business right now for no reason whatsoever. I mean, Whitney's had more undeserved opportunities than a Native American applying for college. I mean, look at this dais. You've got a pimp, a murderer, a drug dealer, a pornographer, and then 8 white people.
Now, if you didn't like that style of comedy, then he's probably not going to be for you. Because when he does his own shows, he's far more offensive than that. And, you just might not be into it. But one thing that I definitely like about his the character he portrays on stage as well is he's very, very confident. Now, I love that. I believe that there's two different types of ways comedians can go really in this aspect. One is to put themselves down and make jokes about flaws and everything that they might have, whereas the other direction is to go is overly confident and talk about how good you are. Now, I probably steer more towards that direction of confidence on stage. Even though we might not be feeling it at the time, that's what we use as a mask to put up while we're up on stage. And he does it very well. I like the way that he compliments himself after his jokes and stuff like that, which you'll see in the next clip that I'm about to play for you. But, the reason why he made my list are basically, as I was saying before, it is to do with his timing, his confidence, his smile, and his charisma on stage. And that's really essentially why he's made my top 6. I do love him, but as I said, he's not for everyone because it is quite offensive. I don't want to feel like I'm defending him or anything like that. I think it's a fantastic style of comedy. And, it's just a different genre of comedy. And, I really find that he does this comedy so well. Now, in real life, he's completely different. I've listened to several interviews with him, and I was hoping he would be a little bit more of an arsehole in real life to sort of betray the comedian that he's on stage, but it's quite the opposite. He's actually a really nice guy. But it goes to show that when we are making these jokes, and if they're horrible at times, it doesn't mean that we actually believe it. We just find it funny, or we're hoping you find it funny. So I'm going to play another clip of Anthony Jeselnik. And once again, if you want to watch the whole clip, just click the link down at the bottom.
When John Doerr asked me to be here tonight, I told him to suck my dick. And now I'm here. This is true. My mom actually should have been on one of the planes that crashed on 9/11. I think. It's fun to do 9/11 jokes in Canada. Way better response. But don't think I'm like a bad person. Don't think I'm a bad guy for saying that joke. I'm a good guy. Like, I would never hit a woman, I would never hit a woman. Even if she had a knife or a stutter. Yeah. That's just not how I do business. In fact, I might be one of the greatest guys of all time. Like, I've got a kid in Africa. Yeah. I've got a kid in Africa that I feed, that I clothe, that I school, that I inoculate for 75 cents a day. Which is practically nothing, compared to what it costs to send him there. When I was a kid, my friends and I got arrested for vandalizing a graveyard. $10,000 in damages. But we had a great lawyer who knocked it down to criminal trespassing and necrophilia. I talk a lot about death. I think it's hilarious. My whole family's like that, kind of. In fact, even well before I was born, my great-grandmother threw herself in front of a bus. Police tried to call it a suicide, but the family knew that she was just trying to stop civil rights.
Now, those of you who know me could probably see from just watching that bit of what it is about Anthony that I like. But for everyone that doesn't know me, I love offensive humor. And the best thing about Anthony's humor, not his timing and everything like that, his actual humor is that a lot of the times you think, all right, I know where this joke is going. I can see it. I can read it a mile away. And he just goes a complete different direction. And there's not too many comedians that can stump me now or shock me with what they say. But I find Anthony becomes very close to that. A lot of the times, and I'll still watch his material that I've seen again. And I just, you think it's going a direction and he gets you every time. It's brilliant. And actually, I had a client of mine, I'm a massage therapist, and he came in and we started talking about comedians and whatnot, and he dropped that he likes Anthony Jeselnik. Well, for the rest of the hour, all we did was recite Anthony Jeselnik jokes. And the good thing about these short, sharp jokes are you can tell them with your friends. And I remember, like, during the treatment going, geez, I hope one day a couple of guys, girls sit around and will actually recite some of my jokes. So it impacted me in a way, in a positive way, that's what I want in the future people doing for me. But, you know, with Anthony, I just love that there doesn't need to be a message. And if you don't like it, he doesn't care. There was an interview that he did, though, that he was saying that comedians should all understand each other. Now, if we're telling offensive jokes or whatnot, if people in the crowd don't get it, that's fine. Might not be their humour. But a comedian should understand where they're going with it or why they're doing that. Because as I said, it's a genre. And if it was music, it's basically like a really good heavy metal band being listened to by someone that plays jazz or they're into jazz. You might not necessarily like the heavy metal, but you can appreciate what they're doing. And that's where he's getting at with that comedian should understand it. So I get a lot of people saying, you know, Nick, your humour's not my type of humour, and that's fine. I'm okay with you not liking my type of humour, but just understand that it's also, just understand where I'm coming from with it. And that's what, you know, what all of us hope for in whatever we're doing, that people just respect it and go, all right, well, it's not for me, but I appreciate that he's up there doing it and that he's performing it and he's got the courage to do something like that. So that's what I love about Anthony. He also had a TV show that was called the Jeselnik Offense, and it was offensive. He basically, on the show, said that he loves sharks killing people. It's a win for the sharks. So what they did was they said that they were going to throw a shark party and whatnot, and they were waiting for someone to die, and the next person was someone in New Zealand. Now, they would have never heard of Anthony Jeselnik before, and he's thrown this shark party for this guy, and he's got girls coming out in bathing suits and people dressed up as sharks, and they're having this shark party. And after that, he received death threats from people in New Zealand. It was a big problem. But one thing that he really does is, on the day of a tragedy, is write offensive tweets and jokes about it. And in the next clip that I'm going to play, you'll see him do that. And I believe you've really got to have an amazing joke if it's going to be coming out the day of a tragedy. Sometimes it's too much. But once again, you have to appreciate what he's doing. And really, laughter, I believe, is the best medicine. So sometimes if we can learn to laugh about something, then we can mourn that tragedy and then start to heal from it. So I think everything has a place, and even if it's not for you and you don't like that humor, just get where he's coming from it. So check this next clip out, and I'm going to leave you on that clip. So remember, subscribe to my YouTube channel at Trapani's Choice, and make sure you click like. Write us a little comment if there's something that you want us to talk about, another topic. We've got 2 more parts of this series. I'm going to be doing Bill Burr next, so I can't wait to do that. I fucking love Bill Burr. He's a genius. I can't wait to talk about the material he does and also what he's doing with his life now that just inspires me. So make sure you also go to my Instagram page. You'll also find unplugged sections of my podcast there. And so follow us on Instagram at Trapani's Choice. You can also find my podcast on SoundCloud or Apple Podcast. So check it out, guys. Can't wait to be back here next time doing Bill Burr.
I like to test myself by joking about horrible things and nothing but. One of my favorite ways to test myself, I like to make jokes about tragedies the day that they happen. The day they happen. I don't believe in too soon. I'm on a tight schedule. And I'm good at it. I'm good at it. Like the day of. The day of the Aurora, Colorado Batman movie theater shooting. The day it happened. I went online, I went on Twitter, and I tweeted, other than that, how was the movie? Right? Right? Nailed it. Nailed it. And the reason I get away with that, the reason I get away with stuff like that is I'm just the guy who does it. People are used to it from me. It'd be weird if I didn't make a joke the day of a tragedy. Which is why I was very surprised when I got in a lot of trouble the day of the Boston Marathon. Now, I don't follow the news regularly, but I know the second a tragedy happens because I get 25 text messages saying, don't do it. And whenever I see that, it makes me sad. It makes me sad because I know something horrible has happened. People will say, Anthony, what's funny about Aurora? What's funny about the Boston Marathon? What's funny about your grandmother's funeral? Nothing. Nothing is funny about those things. That's where I come in.